Deep inside the pine forests of North America, survival is never guaranteed. Life here depends on discipline, experience, and endurance, not comfort or chance. Cold mist drifts between tall pine trunks as damp leaves press beneath silent footsteps. Every breath is controlled, every movement deliberate, because in this forest, one careless sound can mean hunger, injury, or death before the day even begins. Native American hunters move through the forest in silence, carrying spears, stone axes, and sinew cords for traps. Distance between them is measured carefully, close enough to react, far enough to stay unseen. At the front walks the tribal leader, reading wind direction, soil moisture, and broken branches. Here, knowledge outweighs strength, and observation decides who survives. Fresh white-tailed deer tracks sink deep into the damp earth. The prints are large, heavy, and recent, signaling a powerful animal nearby. The group freezes instantly. Pine needles tremble as wind shifts slightly. A branch snaps in the distance. The forest speaks quietly, and only those trained to listen understand the warning signs hidden in every sound. The deer emerges between the trees, alert and cautious, its body blending perfectly with bark and shadow. A subtle hand signal sends one hunter circling wide while another lowers his spear. No words are needed. When the animal suddenly bolts, the forest explodes with movement. Spears fly. One misses. Another strikes. The deer turns, lowers its antlers, and charges. Combat becomes unavoidable. A stone axe crashes against antlers with a heavy impact. Wet leaves send a hunter sliding backward, barely recovering his footing. One wrong step here would mean shattered bones or worse. The forest offers no mercy. After a coordinated final push, the deer collapses. There is no celebration, only silence, as the hunters scan for predators drawn by sound and scent. Victory brings responsibility, not relief. The animal is processed quickly and cleanly. Stone blades separate meat from bone with practiced efficiency. Nothing is wasted. Nearby, the shaman treats cuts and bruises with crushed leaves and medicinal smoke. In the wilderness, untreated wounds can kill faster than any predator stalking the trees. The heavy carcass is bound to a wooden stretcher and dragged through moss-covered ground, icy streams, and steep forest slopes. Wolf howls echo in the distance. Fresh claw marks scar a rotting pine, signaling black bears nearby. The message is clear. Move carefully, move quickly, or become prey yourself in a forest that never sleeps. Back at camp, the rhythm shifts. Meat is sliced, sorted, and hung for smoking beneath the pine canopy. Thick smoke drifts slowly upward, carrying the scent of survival. Native American children watch in silence, learning through observation. No stories are told here, only lessons repeated through action, patience, and discipline, passed down through generations. Traps are checked daily. Snowshoe hares are taken carefully, while young animals are released to protect the future. Weapons are sharpened, supplies counted. Some days the leader decides not to hunt at all. In this forest, true courage is restraint. Survival belongs to those who know when to advance and when to withdraw. As afternoon light cuts between towering pines, smoke drifts at eye level and wind moves steadily through branches. The forest is neither enemy nor ally, it simply exists. There are no heroes here, no legends, only ordinary people repeating the actions required to survive one more day. The camera pulls back and the forest continues without them. The forest never stays quiet for long. New tracks appear where rain has softened the soil. Larger, deeper, wider apart. Elk, a mature bull moving through pine corridors carved by years of migration. This hunt will be different. The animal is stronger, faster, and capable of killing a man with a single blow. The leader slows the pace, knowing patience now means survival later. Following the elk takes hours. Broken branches mark its path. Mud splashes high on tree trunks. The hunters spread wider, careful not to corner themselves. Fatigue builds, but stopping is dangerous. When the elk finally appears, its massive body fills the clearing, breath steaming in the cold air. One spear strikes, but the animal charges, shaking the ground with raw force. A hunter is thrown aside, shoulder slamming into wet earth. Pain flashes, but retreat is impossible. Stone axes strike tree trunks as men dodge antlers slicing through the air. Coordination keeps them alive. After repeated, precise attacks, the elk collapses. Victory comes with injuries. Torn skin, strained joints. Survival always demands payment. Treating wounds becomes urgent. The shaman works fast, grinding roots, packing leaves, controlling swelling. Infection is a silent killer in the wilderness. The elk's weight makes transport brutal. Ropes strain. Wood creaks. Every slope threatens disaster. The forest watches silently as humans struggle against gravity, exhaustion, and fear. The faux fresh claw marks halt the group. Black bear, close, very close. No one speaks, breathing slows. The leader signals retreat, choosing life over pride. The carcass is moved quickly, scent masked with mud and leaves. Survival is not about dominance. It is about leaving alive. LT text. Back at camp, tension remains high. The elk provides massive nourishment, but processing it takes days. Smoke fires burn constantly. Meat is rotated, checked, protected from moisture. Children learn by watching how mistakes are corrected, not explained. Every error here has consequences measured in hunger. Days pass, weather shifts, wind strengthens. Wolves test the perimeter, howling during daylight. Traps are relocated. Routes are changed. The leader adapts constantly, understanding that static behavior invites death. The forest punishes predictability. Another hunt begins, this time smaller prey. White-tailed deer again, familiar but never harmless. A sudden misstep sends a hunter sliding down a muddy slope. He recovers, heart racing. Even routine hunts demand respect. Confidence kills faster than claws. Diffa, successful strike ends the chase. The deer falls. Processing begins immediately. Blood seeps into soil, quickly covered. Nothing is left exposed. Bears remember. Wolves remember. The forest remembers everything. ULT text. Cooking fires burn low. Meat roasts slowly. Fat drips into embers. The smell carries far, but precautions are taken. Lookouts remain posted. Axes stay within reach. Eating is never careless in the wild. Snowshoe hares fill traps. Smaller victories matter. Protein accumulates. Supplies stabilize. Yet the leader remains cautious. Stability in the forest is temporary, always fragile. Children practice identifying tracks, learning which signs mean danger and which mean opportunity. Knowledge replaces fear. Understanding replaces panic. This is how survival continues beyond a single generation. A storm passes, branches fall, trails disappear. The forest resets itself. Humans must read it all over again. Adaptation never ends. Another warning appears. Fresh wolf tracks crossing the main trail. The leader halts all hunting. This decision saves lives. Hunger is easier to survive than a fatal ambush. Weapons are maintained. Axes sharpened. Spears straightened. Traps repaired. Preparation becomes the focus. Survival is built during quiet moments, not only during battle. Smoke rises steadily now. Food stores grow. Injuries heal slowly. Strength returns. Confidence remains controlled. The forest punishes arrogance quickly. The shaman observes birds flying low, sensing pressure in the air. Change is coming. The message is clear. Prepare. One final hunt is attempted before conditions worsen. This time, coordination is flawless. Movements are silent. Decisions immediate. Experience shows its value. The hunt succeeds. No injuries, no chaos. just efficiency. This is survival at its highest form. As supplies are secured, the pace slows. Watchfulness remains. The forest does not relax. Neither do its inhabitants. The leader stands alone, looking into endless pine trunks. Every season survived is borrowed time. The forest never belongs to anyone. The shaman joins him briefly. No plans are spoken. Only understanding. The camp settles into quiet rhythm. Smoke drifts. Wind moves through needles. Life holds steady for now. The camera pulls back. Humans shrink beneath towering trees. Nature dominates the frame. There are no heroes here, only survivors. The forest continues, indifferent, eternal. As the days stretch on, the forest grows heavier with pressure. Larger animals move closer to the hunting routes, drawn by scent and sound. The leader senses it before anyone speaks. Every decision now carries more weight. One mistake could cost lives. Hunting parties are reorganized, spacing adjusted, retreat paths planned in advance. Survival here is no longer routine. It becomes a constant calculation between hunger, risk, and the thin margins separating control from chaos. A massive shape appears between the pines. A fully grown moose, taller than any man, muscles shifting beneath dark fur. This animal is not prey meant for hesitation. Spears lower together. The first strike lands shallow, enraging the beast. It charges without warning. One hunter is clipped, thrown hard into the ground. Bones hold, but breath leaves his lungs. Axes bite into muscle as the group fights to redirect the animal's momentum before it tramples them all. The moose finally collapses after repeated, coordinated attacks, its strength draining into the forest floor. Silence follows, heavy, absolute, no celebration. Only controlled breathing and quick assessments. The injured hunter is checked immediately. Bruising spreads across his ribs, but nothing is broken. The shaman prepares compresses while others secure the kill. Blood is managed quickly, covered with soil and leaves. Predators will not be invited. Transporting the moose tests every limit. Thick ropes dig into shoulders. Wooden sleds scrape against roots and stones. Each step risks reopening wounds or drawing attention. Wind shifts suddenly, carrying scent downhill. The leader halts the group, scanning tree lines. Distant movement suggests wolves pacing the edge of awareness. The decision is immediate. Increase speed. Accept exhaustion. Survival outweighs comfort every time. Back at camp, processing begins without delay. The moose is broken down systematically. Joints separated cleanly. Muscle groups identified and preserved. Fat is rendered slowly. Bones are set aside for tools. Nothing is wasted. Fires burn continuously, smoke rising in steady columns through the pine canopy. Guards rotate silently. This is not rest. This is controlled defense disguised as routine labor. That night, howls echo during daylight hours, closer than before. Wolves test boundaries boldly now. Spears remain upright. Axes are kept within reach. The leader orders fires maintained even as fuel runs low. Darkness is avoided. Visibility is life. Children are moved inward, kept silent. The forest presses closer, curious, patient, waiting for weakness that never comes. The following morning reveals fresh tracks circling the perimeter. Deep paw prints, multiple animals. The camp has been measured. Hunting is suspended temporarily. Defense takes priority. Traps are repositioned, not for food, but for warning. Every snapped twig becomes information. Survival shifts from acquisition to preservation. When hunting resumes, it is surgical. Small groups, short distances, clear exit routes. A mature black bear is spotted near a stream, feeding on roots. No attack is attempted. The risk outweighs reward. The leader signals withdrawal. This restraint is learned through generations of loss. Later, A wounded deer is encountered unexpectedly, cornered between fallen logs. Panic makes it unpredictable. A hunter is slashed across the thigh before the animal is brought down. Pain is immediate, blood controlled, movement slowed. The shaman applies crushed leaves and binding cloth while others stand guard. Survival now depends on discipline, not strength. Cooking becomes deliberate. Meat is roasted thoroughly, fats conserved, portions measured. Energy must last. Every bite carries meaning. Hunger sharpens awareness, not recklessness. This balance keeps them alive. As days pass, scars accumulate, hands stiffen, muscles adapt. Fear does not disappear. It becomes familiar, understood, managed. The forest does not soften. Humans simply learn how to exist within its rules. Another storm tears through the pines. Trees fall. Paths vanish. The environment resets violently. When calm returns, everything must be relearned. Tracks, routes, safe zones. Survival begins again from zero. A final major hunt is attempted before resources tighten further. The animal is massive, aggressive, unwilling to flee.
They lead toward
Coordination
the rock
is
crossing.
flawless.
We must
No
avoid
wasted
that path
motion.
today. It is
No
too
hesitation.
dangerous.
Spears strike vital points. Axes finish decisively. This is not brutality. It is necessity refined through experience. As the carcass is secured and smoke rises once more, the leader surveys the camp, injured, tired, but standing. The forest remains vast and indifferent. Survival here is never victory. It is permission to continue. The pine forest tightens like a trap. Mist hangs low, swallowing distance, turning every shadow into uncertainty. The leader slows the group, not from fear, but from experience. When visibility drops, sound becomes the map. A single snap of a twig can reveal a deer or a predator closing in. The hunters spread wider, spears angled down, axes ready. Each step placed carefully to avoid the dry needles that betray movement. A fresh trail appears at the stream bank. Heavy, long stride, deep impressions pressed into wet soil. Not deer, not elk. Something larger moved through here recently, leaving churned moss and scraped bark. The leader touches the damaged trunk, then gestures to pull back. He knows what it means when big animals patrol water routes. In this forest, water is life, and that makes it a battlefield for anything that breathes. They change direction toward higher ground, where pine roots form natural ridges. That's where prey tends to pass and where escape is possible. Traps are prepared quietly, cord loops tested, anchor stakes driven into firm earth, camouflage layered with damp needles. The work is precise, almost delicate, because a crude trap fails and failure here is costly. The hunters check wind again and again, because scent can ruin everything. The first sign of the deer herd is not the animals themselves, it is silence. Birds stop calling, small life pulls inward. The leader raises his hand, everyone freezes. The hunters become part of the trees. Then the deer appear, stepping into view as if the forest simply shaped them from fog. One mature buck turns its head slowly, sensing something wrong. The group holds. Patience is a weapon. When the herd begins to move, the leader signals the approach. Two hunters shift left to close the gap. Another stays back as insurance. A spear flies and strikes, but not deep enough. The buck jolts and spins, antlers sweeping wide. A hunter dodges, slipping on wet leaves. The axe comes up instinctively, catching antler with a harsh impact. It is controlled chaos, measured in inches and timing. The buck surges forward again, and now there is no safe distance. The leader steps in, not to show bravery, but to stabilize the moment. He uses the spear to guide the animal's path, forcing it away from the injured hunter. Another spear lands cleanly. The buck collapses, and the forest returns to that heavy quiet. No one speaks. Everyone listens. Predators here struggle from far away. The group works fast. They reposition the carcass off the open trail, partly hidden behind fallen timber. The leader orders the ground covered, scent reduced, noise minimized. Processing begins with practiced efficiency. Cuts made clean, sections separated in an organized system. There's no lingering, no drama, only survival. The injured hunter's leg is checked. It's a deep bruise and a cut, but he can still walk. The shaman arrives with crushed leaves and a binding strip, wrapping the wound firmly to reduce swelling and limit movement. The treatment is not mystical. It is practical knowledge earned through generations. The leader watches the forest line while the shaman works, eyes scanning for movement. A camp that celebrates is a camp that dies. Here, healing and defense happen at the same time. Dragging the meat back becomes another battle against gravity, fatigue, and terrain. The sled scrapes over roots, catches on rocks, and threatens to flip on a muddy slope. Hunters adjust ropes, shift weight, and keep moving. Then, distant howls roll through daylight. Wolves. Not close enough to see, but close enough to matter. The leader signals a faster pace. Hunger can wait. Safety cannot. Back at camp, smoke fires are built low and steady. Meat is sliced into manageable strips, hung where airflow is consistent, rotated to avoid dampness. Every step is methodical because rot is just another kind of death. Children watch the process, learning the rhythm of survival without being told it is a lesson. In the pine forest, training is constant, even when the day looks ordinary. The next hunt targets larger prey again, because stores must last. The leader chooses a corridor where elk have passed before, marked by rubbed bark and broken saplings. The group moves as one organism, stopping frequently to listen. When the elk appears, it is cautious but not afraid. That's what makes it dangerous. One spear strikes shallow. The elk bolts, then turns, deciding to fight instead of flee. The elk charges hard, forcing the hunters to scatter. One man is hit by the shoulder and thrown into wet needles, air knocked from his lungs. The leader steps into the elk's blind angle, using the spear to redirect its movement. Another hunter brings the stone axe down with full force, striking where muscle meets joint. The elk stumbles, regains footing, and tries again. This is not clean. It is survival at full speed. After a final coordinated push, the elk collapses. The hunters do not approach immediately. They circle, watching for the last burst of strength. When it is over, they move in fast. The injured hunter sits up slowly, face tight with pain, but alive. The shaman binds his shoulder and chest with firm wraps. In a place like this, injury is not a side detail, it becomes a new risk that follows you. The elk's weight changes everything. Transport requires more people, more rope, more time, exactly what predators love. The leader orders a shorter route, even if it is steeper. Better a hard climb than a long exposure. The sled grinds upward. Ropes cut into hands. Breath becomes loud. Every few minutes, they stop, not to rest, but to listen for movement that does not belong to them. They find it. Fresh bear sign near a rotting pine. Claw marks high and recent. The leader stops the entire group. Eyes scan, no one speaks. The camp is still far. The carcass is valuable, but not worth a death. He signals a tight formation and a quick move.
Are you well?
The hunters smear mud and crushed needles on ropes and hands to reduce scent. It is an old method, and it works often enough to matter. At camp, the processing shifts into long-term survival mode. Fat is saved carefully. Tendons are cleaned for cord. Bones are set aside for tools and future repairs. Smoke rises constantly now, a thin signal that could attract danger if mishandled. Lookouts rotate without complaint. The leader does not allow complacency. Safe is a temporary word in a forest like this. One afternoon, wolves appear at the edge of sight, gray shapes moving between trunks, testing distance. They do not attack, they measure. The leader meets that gaze without aggression, because aggression invites escalation. Fires are maintained. Noise is controlled. The wolves eventually drift away, but the message remains. The forest has competitors, and food makes you visible. A trapline is checked at dawnlight, mist heavy again. A large snare has been sprung, and the anchor stake is torn partially free. Something strong fought hard here. The hunters approach carefully, spears forward, scanning the ground for fresh tracks. Then they see it. A boar, wild, muscular, and furious. Caught but not defeated. It charges as soon as it senses them. Now the hunt becomes a fight at close range. The boar slams into a hunter's leg, nearly breaking balance. The leader steps in to distract, moving sideways to pull the animal's focus. Another hunter strikes with a spear, but the boar twists, refusing to die easily. The stone axe comes down again, precise and heavy. The boar collapses at last. No cheering. Only quick scanning of the woods, because the noise of struggle can echo like a dinner bell. Injuries are treated immediately. The hunter's leg is bruised and swollen, movement limited. The shaman applies compresses and tight binding, then forces slow breathing to manage shock. Meanwhile, the boar is processed in clean sections, meat separated, hide handled with care. The leader watches the tree line while work continues, because the most dangerous moment is not the kill, it is the aftermath. Cooking begins the same day. Portions are roasted over low fire, smoke controlled to avoid a thick plume. Fat is rendered into containers for later use. The camp eats without ceremony. They do not eat until guards are posted and tools are within reach. Hunger is real, but discipline is what prevents hunger from becoming desperation. The leader speaks little. His silence is a plan. The next major target is moose. Tracks near a marshy edge suggest a bull passing through regularly. The leader sets an ambush route, choosing ground where the animal's size becomes a disadvantage. Hunters place stakes quietly to narrow movement corridors, then position themselves at angles that prevent a direct charge. When the moose arrives, it is enormous, almost unreal, yet it moves with surprising speed. The first spear lands, and the forest wakes. The moose charges. A hunter barely dives aside, feeling the wind of its body. Another is knocked backward, landing hard. The leader shifts quickly, redirecting the animal with movement rather than force, guiding it toward the narrowed corridor. Spears strike again. Axes follow. The animal fights like a storm, refusing collapse. Then, at last it breaks, knees folding, body dropping into wet earth.
Drop the supplies.
Everyone freezes, listening for other footsteps. The injured hunter is checked, ribs bruised, breath shallow, but alive. The shaman treats him with compresses and binding, then forces slow movement to prevent stiffness. The moose is processed carefully, not rushed, because rushing creates accidents. Sections are carried back in multiple trips to reduce exposure. The leader assigns escorts to every load. A single person walking alone becomes a target. That rule is never broken. On one return trip, the group hears a sudden movement, heavy, close, unseen. Black bear. The leader signals a full stop, then a slow retreat, never turning backs. No panic. Panic gets people killed. The bear does not show itself, but its presence is felt in the silence and the smell of disturbed earth. The group waits until the forest settles, then moves again, quietly, deliberately, alive. Back at camp, the workload becomes relentless. Smoke racks fill. Meat strips are rotated for even drying. Tools are repaired constantly because stone edges dull quickly in heavy work. Children help gather dry needles and small branches, learning how fuel choice affects smoke and heat. The camp's rhythm is not peaceful, it is controlled. Even in stable moments, the leader plans as if crisis is coming, because it always does. A new danger appears. A cougar's sign near a game trail scratches, scat, and silence where there should be birds. The leader cancels hunting for the day and doubles watch. Cougars do not announce themselves like wolves. They wait, The camp becomes quiet, movement minimized, sightlines cleared. The leader positions hunters where they can see each other. Survival here is not only about hunting prey, it is about not becoming prey. When the cougar never shows, the camp does not relax. That is the cougar's advantage: uncertainty. Hunting resumes with tighter formation and shorter routes. Deer are taken efficiently, processed fast, and brought back before scent spreads. The shaman continues treating injuries from earlier fights, monitoring swelling and pain like a medic. The forest is a constant test, and the camp passes it only by refusing to underestimate anything. As supplies grow, the leader begins planning for the next cycle, repairing shelters, reinforcing racks, storing rendered fat, preparing cordage for more traps. But even preparation has a threat. The smell of stored meat pulls scavengers. The leader orders caches spread out, not concentrated, so one breach does not ruin everything. That is strategy, not fear. A single mistake in storage can undo a season of hard survival. Late in the day, the leader stands at the edge of the trees, watching mist drift through pine trunks like slow smoke. The camp behind him works steadily, quiet, disciplined, resilient. Injuries are healing, food is drying. Yet the forest remains unchanged, vast, indifferent, and ready to punish weakness. Survival is not a story of triumph. It is the daily decision to keep moving, keep thinking, and keep breathing one more day. As the season stretches on, exhaustion becomes a constant companion. Muscles ache, hands crack from cold and labor, and sleep comes lightly. Yet the forest never grants rest. New tracks appear overnight, crossing familiar paths, rewriting what was known just hours before. The leader studies these signs carefully, knowing that routine invites danger. Every morning begins with reassessment, because yesterday's safety means nothing today. One hunt turns violent without warning. A wounded boar charges from thick brush, faster than expected, forcing the hunters into close combat. The animal's weight slams into a man's chest, knocking him flat. Another hunter reacts instantly, driving a spear deep to stop the momentum. The boar collapses, but the damage is done. The injured man struggles to breathe. The shaman works immediately, controlling shock before it turns fatal. The forest seems to tighten around the group as they move back toward camp. Sounds carry strangely. Wind shifts direction. Every shadow feels heavier. The leader increases spacing between hunters, ensuring no one walks blind. The injured man is supported on both sides, pace steady, breathing guided. Survival now depends on discipline under pressure, not speed or strength. Back at camp, priorities shift instantly. Food processing pauses. Healing comes first. The shaman applies firm bindings, herbal compresses, and forces warmth through controlled fire. Others maintain watch, weapons always within reach. This is the reality of survival. Progress stops the moment injury appears. Nothing matters more than keeping people alive long enough to recover. As days pass, the injured regain strength, but scars remain. These marks are not hidden, they are reminders. The leader does not romanticize them. Each scar represents a decision that nearly went wrong. Lessons are absorbed silently, passed through observation rather than speech. In the pine forest, survival knowledge travels without words. The final major hunt of the cycle arrives unexpectedly. A massive elk enters the outer territory, drawn by scent and movement. The leader makes the call quickly. This is an opportunity that cannot be wasted. Positions are taken. Wind is checked twice. When the attack begins, it is coordinated, deliberate, and relentless. Spears strike true, axes follow. The elk falls without chaos, the result of months of adaptation. Processing the elk is almost ceremonial in its efficiency. Every cut is precise. Every piece is assigned purpose. Meat, fat, bone, hide, nothing is excess. Fires burn low and constant. Smoke drifts through the pine canopy like a signal of endurance rather than victory. Guards remain posted because abundance attracts attention. Predators return one last time. Wolves circle at a distance, watching the camp through trees and mist. No confrontation occurs. The leader holds position, refusing escalation. Fires stay lit. Weapons stay ready. Eventually, the wolves fade back into the forest, understanding that this place, for now, is defended. As the days shorten, movement slows. Hunting becomes selective. Energy is conserved. The camp shifts from expansion to maintenance. Tools are repaired. Shelters reinforced. Food stores reorganized. Survival enters its quieter phase, but danger never disappears. It only waits. In the final light of the day, the leader stands at the edge of the forest, watching the pines sway slowly in the wind. The camp behind him works in steady rhythm, alive, injured, experienced, enduring. The forest remains unchanged, vast and indifferent. Survival here is not conquest. It is coexistence, earned moment by moment, season by season. As the season closes, activity slows further. Fires burn lower. Movement becomes economical. Injuries have healed as much as they will. Scars remain. The camp does not speak of them, but they shape every motion. Survival leaves marks, visible and unseen. The forest continues unchanged. Pines stand tall. Mist drifts through familiar paths. Animals move where they always have. Humans are temporary here, tolerated only as long as they respect the balance. The camp exists not because it conquered the land, but because it learned how not to fight it unnecessarily. In the final moments, the camera pulls back. The people become smaller, quieter, nearly absorbed by the forest itself. Life continues without ceremony, no triumph, no defeat. Only survival, earned day by day, season by season, within a land that will remain long after they are gone.
Ban ngày tại khu sinh hoạt, hai trẻ con thổ dân châu Mỹ ngồi yên nghe Pháp sư kể lại bài học tránh thú lớn.